When I was a kid, one of my favorite types of stories was the type of plot line where the girl who's just like me finds a book of spells in the attic, or discovers that she has extrasensory powers, maybe that she can speak to the dead. But I confess that kind of thing has never happened to me. I have friends who have sensed their loved ones, even though their loved ones are dead. But that hasn't happened to me. I don't doubt that they have that experience, but I haven't experienced it. And let's be clear, that's not what the disciples in these post-Easter texts are experiencing either. In today's text, these disciples have not yet seen the risen Jesus. They have heard reports from the women who went to the garden early in the morning to anoint Jesus' body that Jesus' body is not there. They have heard from the travelers on the road to Emmaus who walked with Jesus and recognized him in the breaking of the bread, and they ran back from Emmaus to tell the disciples. But the disciples in this story have not seen Jesus yet. And then he appears. Clearly, in some ways, he is not the Jesus that they knew before crucifixion. He can appear and disappear. That's not what any of us can do in our human bodies. But that's what Jesus can do post-Easter. But make no mistake, this is not a ghost. This is not a spiritual presence, the way my friends had a sense of spiritual presence of their loved ones. This Jesus is real. This Jesus asks for some food. They give him a fish. He eats it. This Jesus now has a body that is still human and yet different. Jesus eats, and then we're told he opens their minds so that they could understand the scriptures. He teaches them everything. Imagine this meal that they've had. Jesus with his piece of broiled fish eating. Imagine if you could have the same kind of meal with Jesus. If Jesus could give you sustenance in this same kind of way. What would breakfast with Jesus look like? How would that nourish you in different ways than the ways you're being nourished right now? How might you ask God to provide that kind of nourishment? Whether it be physical nourishment, intellectual nourishment, creative nourishment, the nourishment that comes from all kinds of connections. What nourishment do you need today? And how can you be nourishment for others? Theologians would point us to the sacrament, one of the basic ways that we are nourished by the body and blood of Christ. But there are plenty of other ways that we are nourished too. And then, nourished by this new meal, they go out to be nourishment to the larger society. And in this way, the whole world is transformed. We can do that too.